This portion of the show is brought to you by Diamond Auto Glass, where the difference is clear.com.
This is the Jeff Oravits Show.
All right, welcome everyone. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Happy to be here. Rob Wilson joins me with Timberline Firearms and Training. What a night. I mean, it's, I don't know, are you surprised by any of the outcomes in the Arizona primary? I mean, it's, I'm not too much.
Any big surprises anywhere.
There's a couple little ones for me.
Yeah, there were a couple of, some of the numbers were a little different than what we expected, but I don't think we saw any huge, like, oh my gosh, never expected that person to come out on top kinds of stories from last night. Yeah,
there was a couple, though, that I thought were going to be a lot closer. So especially in the Legislative District 7 race, which we'll get to, there were 6 candidates in that one for the House seat.
Yep.
I thought that there was going to be a closer, like in the second, third, maybe even fourth position. That one surprised me a bit. And then also how much former Senate President, former Secretary of State, and current state senator for Legislative District 1, and that's Ken Bennett, how much Ken actually lost by in really what's been his hometown. His family's been there forever, and
extremely well known.
Yeah,
long, like you mentioned, a long history of serving his community in various capacities. A real big surprise to see he didn't do better, and it makes you wonder or ask that question about, was some of that negative campaigning that had been going on by some of his opponents more effective than maybe we suspected?
Does it work? I mean, it must work because people are doing it every election cycle. And this primary election was particularly more harsh than even some I've seen in the past, as far as, this person hates kittens and puppies and babies. And it was pretty ugly.
Yeah, they would erase all rainbows and unicorns if they could.
Yeah.
It seems like every election season, it steps up another notch.
Yeah.
Nobody is dialing it back. And that's, you would hope we'd have responsible adults running for public office and would, maybe recognize that's not the way that a responsible adult behaves, but
does it work? I mean, it must work, because a lot of people that were doing it won the spot. One it didn't work against, though, was Walt Blackman,
right?
Who clearly won his primary, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. We'll start off with Kari Lake, though, and the race for the U.S. Senate. But before I do that, Desert Gold Exchange is where I've been buying physical gold and silver for many years now. And, Angela and I have been in this for, 25 years. We've been buying physical gold and silver. Yeah. I have sold it at times. And so, like with everything, most things I'm like, I wish I hadn't sold.
Yeah.
Real estate, things like that. How can you hang on to everything? It's kind of impossible, though.
The first car I ever owned, I wish I still had.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, if it's a Yugo, it's worth a lot more now. Anyway, Desert Gold Exchange, here's the bottom line. They guarantee the lowest commissions out there. Silver and gold cost what silver and gold cost wherever you buy it in the world. It's commissions and fees that get you. So you go to Desert Gold Exchange, you call them up, and first of all, you're going to deal with a great family-owned company. They can ship you anything you need, physical gold and silver. That's all they deal with exclusively. Always the lowest commission, always at desertgoldexchange.com, or give them a call at 888-852-4343. That's 888-852-4343. All right, Rob, let's start with Kari Lake. Mm-hmm. Clearly wins the primary. No surprise here.
No.
That she won this thing. Were you surprised by the difference, the amount she won by over Sheriff of Pinal County, Mark Lamb?
I was a little surprised at the campaign. I didn't see either one of them up here. I think Kari might have been here once or twice for a short period of time.
I saw Kari in Camp Verde.
Okay.
We actually talked down there in Camp Verde when she was down there recently, and she had the tour bus or whatever.
It felt, once again, kind of like we're that isolated little area that everybody kind of ignores while they concentrate on Maricopa. I guess if you're looking for return on your investment in time, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I get
numbers.
But I sure wish more of our elected representatives or candidates would pay a little bit more attention to what's going on up here in northern Arizona.
It's the numbers. I mean, you're talking about a population area down in Maricopa County that's 5.5 million, and a state that has 7.5 million people. And another of those million are down in Tucson, approximately, right? So you got another million scattered about. What's Arizona, seventh largest state in the nation as far as geography?
Yep.
So it's a matter of miles and time and, votes that you're going to get. So it sucks. I wish it wasn't the case, but I get why they're doing it.
In all of Coconino County, Kari Lake garnered 4,837 votes. So, how much time would you invest to get 4,000 votes in a campaign or an election that's being decided by tens of thousands?
In a county for Coconino, for example, that's maybe 160,000 people.
And primarily Democratic.
And second largest geographic county in the nation, size-wise.
Yeah.
And the got to be 60+% of the population actually lives in the Flagstaff area. Yep. So you go to Flagstaff, and that's, and you pop in the show here once in a while too, which she has done. And I think she reaches those people. I did talk to her briefly off the record about the victory last night. She's moving on to. She never really was out of this phase of running against Rubin Gallego.
Right.
She said that here on the show. She's been focused on that. She presumed correctly that she was going to be the victor and the Republican nominee. So not a lot of energy spent on Lamb, and he didn't spend a lot either. I don't think he had the money. Let me put this out there. I mean, I think Mark Lamb's a good guy. He got 39.3% of the votes as of right now. What'd you say? About a quarter million votes. He's a statewide name now that I think he'll be back and doing something else, because that's a good showing for somebody who was on a shoestring budget.
Yeah. Yeah. And, he's been around for a while. He's had some visibility in previous election cycles, and Kari Lake has once previously.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to see more of Sheriff Lamb in the future.
What do you think about what is the take on Rubin Gallego? He garnered 100% of the vote because he had no challenger, no Democrat challenger.
Right.
Break down these numbers for us as far as how many people voted.
He received a total of 424,000-ish votes. So
okay.
424,000. The Republican candidates combined received 583,000 votes. So, over 150,000 more votes. So, a third more.
That's interesting.
Does that tell us something about the Democratic engagement in this election cycle? Or is the enthusiasm maybe not there for them to go out and vote? Were there not enough issues on a Democratic primary ballot, which I actually voted on, to attract enough people?
Wait, did you pull the Democrat ballot?
I did.
Yeah. And you notice some difference between me and Rob's wording here. Democratic?
Tick. Yes.
I say Democrat.
Yes.
You say potato, I say potato. What do you get yelled at when you say Democrat?
I was thoroughly chastised when I was working on becoming the chair of the redistricting commission for saying Democratic.
Oh,
Democrat
really? I said Democrat all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I might get chastised, but I don't pay attention to anything anymore. And I'm not really on social media.
I can tell you for sure that before I meant no disrespect whatsoever by saying Democrat. I can tell you that now when I say Democrat tick, I do mean just a little bit of a poke in the eye.
A little poke, yeah. You're so sensitive. Anyway. Okay, so 424,000 votes for Rubin Gallego.
583
combined for the Republicans. I don't know if you can read it. Each election's different. It's hard to read anything into it. The motivation, the enthusiasm. I don't know how anyone can really get too enthused over Rubin Gallego. But then again, I don't know how anybody could get really enthused over Kamala Harris, who up until 10 days ago was about the lamest vice president on the face of the planet, and the media ignored her. And then the corporate media, all of a sudden, she's the best thing ever.
Yes.
And she was never the border czar or anything like that. And she
has no responsibilities whatsoever.
Now.
Because if she had any, then she failed at them, because who can name a positive accomplishment from Vice President Harris?
I can't, but the media, the corporate media, do your job and vet her. Yeah. I mean, and vet how terrible she's actually been, and don't pretend that she hasn't been just kind of the lamest of vice presidents that we've ever seen in this country. I mean, and all of a sudden she's the pick, and she's. My point being, people are enthused about her now.
Yes.
I saw something like 8 in 10 Democrats are happy that she's the nominee.
Yeah.
I mean, really? So what I'm saying is, you get to the general election, and Rubin Gallego, who has a terrible record absolutely terrible record when it comes to the border. Now he's strong on the border.
Of course.
If you hear him, I'm strong on the border. What are we doing with, how are these people able to come over here and then they get a court date 5 years later or whatever? And, of course that's a bad thing. Well, how long has this guy been in politics? Why wasn't it a bad thing when you were a congressman, before you decided to run for the U.S. Senate?
He's been in the House for 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the guy's been around. And what was he before that? I'm sure he was in
state
legislature, right? They keep on moving up the ladder.
Yeah.
So they reinvent these people. So I guess they could get excited about Rubin Gallego. He can be this awesome centrist all of a sudden. So here's my question for you, Rob, and all you out there. And email is a good way to get in touch with us, or comment right in the podcast. I like that too. And we can share these comments. Talk with Jeff@iCloud.com. Does Kari Lake have to take a different path now? Does she, and Angela and I were talking about this morning when we were dropping the kids off for schools. First, I can't believe they're back in school already.
First day, huh?
First day, yeah. Does Kari Lake need to try to soften up some to attract, especially, I don't know, maybe independents, but in particular, female voters? I think she might have some problems with female voters out there. And I'm not saying soften up as far as changing her platform or changing, because I looked for when she was running for governor, and I endorsed her in the primary.
Right.
And then when she got through and went to the general, I had her back on like a week after that. And I tested her on abortion and certain key issues to see if she got soft. I'm not talking about getting soft on the issues. I'm talking about like maybe just putting out a little happier, friendlier image.
Right.
That's, hey, I'm a mom and this inflation really sucks and I know what you're going through. And does she have to do that to win this over? Is she capable of doing that? What do you think?
Well, first, I think you're obviously just a sexist pig to suggest that a strong woman is somehow a negative thing. That's my first thought.
I will respond to that, but go ahead. My Democrat picking ballot.
I think all campaigns do a little bit of a pivot. Between the primary and the general. Your audience changes. Your message needs to change, and I'm sure she will a little bit, but she's been really, really strong on a lot of issues from day one. She does not mince words. She is very clear. Her past history in broadcast makes her just an excellent presenter. There's no doubt in your mind what Kari Lake is about when you sit and watch and listen to her. Yep. So I think there'll probably be a small shift, but not much.
Okay. And don't get me wrong. I don't want her to change on her stance on abortion and the immigration and all that. I like Kari Lake. I've endorsed Kari Lake in 2 primaries now, and now in 2 generals. Yep. I'm just saying for people out there who have an issue with her, and I'm not trying to be sexist, but it is an issue. And Angela again, and she kind of brought this up. We're talking about this. It is an issue of women have a challenge of, you want to be really firm and really strong. But then I notice, again, I'm going to get tagged with the sexist comment here, that some women perceive that too far and they want it to be softened up a little bit. But if you go too soft, then you're like what Kamala Harris was, 9 minutes ago before the corporate media.
Salad of
exactly. So it's a tough balance that she's got to do, because she's tough as nails.
Yeah.
Kari Lake is. And I love her for that. And I think she's going to be an awesome U.S. Senator, but she's got to also get in there. And there is that challenge, the likability factor. Yep. I think amongst especially some demographics, some women out there. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, do you okay?
There are.
So how does
certain segments of the voting population out there that are women are going to perceive her as a little too harsh?
Yeah. So how does she do that but maintain who she is? That's the challenge going forward against Rubin Gallego, who's playing this centrist, cool guy, chameleon Democrat. Yeah. Once again, and fooling people, but people haven't been paying attention to Rubin Gallego. They don't know who he is and what his policies like we do.
Right.
That's the challenge.
And I think that's why Kari doesn't necessarily really have to worry too much about that small segment of the population that thinks she's a little bit too harsh, because when you compare her to her opponent, and he has a voting record, we know what his voting record is. That is fact. When she uses that against him, those women that think she might be a little harsh will say, that's way better than what we've seen Rubin Gallego do as a member of the U.S. House.
Yeah, and that's what needs to happen. All right, love to hear from you. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. That's talkwithjeff at iCloud.com. All right, we have so many great sponsors, and one of them who's been with us for a very long time is Kim Dawson at Nova Home Loans. If you are refinancing a home, Kim can help you out. If you're new to home buying, your first-time home buyer, Kim Dawson can help you out because she can act like a broker and find the best programs out there. Plus, you've got Nova Home Loans, Arizona's largest privately owned mortgage lender. So you work with them, you get the absolute best, and you get Kim Dawson, who knows the Arizona market so very well. I've used her. She did a refinance for me on an investment property. Like I said, second homes, your first time home, moving up to a bigger home, off-grid properties is a big one.
That can be a real challenge.
Yeah, so all those challenging situations. And you mentioned the Jeff Orvich Show. When you contact Kim, you get $250 off the lender's fee at closing. Here's the number, 928-310-6458. That's 928-310-6458. Or go to novahomeloans.com/Kim Dawson. Kim Dawson, MLS 697-411. Nova Home Loans, MLS 3087. BK number 090242. Equal housing opportunity. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions may apply. Back in just about a minute.
This is the Jeff Orvich Show. This is the Jeff Orvich Show.
All right, welcome back here with Rob Wilson. Rob owns Timberline Firearms and Training. Where'd you put that thing? It is in the camera.
Is it?
Yeah, you've got your...
It's called a plate carrier.
It's a plate carrier. Last time he was in, he brought a sniper rifle that two of us had to carry down here. And this time he brings the vest. I call it a bulletproof vest, but that would not be the...
Well, bulletproof is one of those words you don't normally want to use.
Is that like silencer?
You bring in, if you use the word proof, well, then that rifle I brought last time would definitely go through that armor plate. So
yeah, we're doing video today, so let me pull this thing over here. It's pretty heavy.
There we go.
This is what we're talking about. And I put it on. It's this adds some weight, and this adds, especially if
it's a good 20 pounds.
You're working in Arizona, for example.
Yeah.
For example, is it today? I think Vance is down in Glendale. Okay. It's an indoor setup arena. Secret Service wearing stuff like that. And but if you're outside, when Trump comes back to Phoenix sometime or wherever, he's going to be doing outside rallies again. Yep. I actually talked with Kari Lake yesterday about this. She was on the program, and I asked her how President Trump is doing. She had spoken to him a couple times since the assassination attempt, says he's doing great. But you think about all these guys and girls wearing this heavy gear.
Yeah, the folks that are out there protecting it. When some officer gets out of his car to come up to your window and talk to you about your speed control, he's wearing probably 30, 40 pounds worth of stuff.
Yeah.
In addition to all the weight of the responsibility of what he's doing or she's doing. And it's really pretty incredible. And we should be thankful for what they do for us.
Yeah, and when they get out of the car, and this is actually, we just got about a minute or two here, but one of the races was, let me see if I can, here it is, Justine Wadsack, in state senator running in District 17, Republican. Looks like she's going to lose to Vince Leach. Vince Leach, he has been on the program a couple of times. I thought he was in the House, or maybe he got out of the legislature for a term. He's up by 943 votes over her. She's the one that the officers pulled over, and she was doing 70 and a 35 and pulled out the immunity card, the legislative immunity card. And the officer ultimately called in legal, got some advice, and they let her go. Her excuse was, my Tesla's about to run out of charge. I only have a couple more minutes left, so I do 70 instead of 35, which is just pretty ridiculous on its face. But it goes to show you take advantage of your position, which I think she did.
Yep.
And I hope she loses because she pulled out that card. I'm a special person.
Yeah, I have to get to the legislature so I can break laws to do that.
Yeah. Because
I'm required by law to be there.
Even though she was going home.
Was she?
Yeah, she said she's 3 or 4 minutes away from home. Give me a break. So looks like she's going to lose, and I think that's good for her.
Good for her.
All right. I want to get into Legislative District 1 race, the Legislative District 7 race, and a bunch more. Let's see if we can get through all these today. Big day looking at who's moving forward or who has won outright, because in several of these positions, these are people running for mayor, and that was the election last night. So we'll break all that down for you. Yeah. County attorney. That's another one. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. That's talkwithjeff at iCloud.com. If you need new blinds, shutters, or shades, the Blind Brothers, they did an awesome job for my family. Angela and I are really happy with the blinds they put in our home in Flagstaff. They will lay out all the options for you, not just most expensive ones. Plus, something I really like about them, Arizona-based company, but they also don't use subcontractors. So you don't have who knows who coming into your home. It's their team. It's their family. It's their business. And they do a great job. Call the Blind Brothers, mention the Jeff Orbit Show. You get half off the installation. I highly recommend that you have them do the installation. They did a great job for us. 928-634-2423. That's 928-634-2423. Or go to theblindbrothers.com. Back in just a minute. Hey, if you're listening to the podcast, please give us a great review and also give us a comment in there. If you're not listening to the podcast, subscribe. Look up the Jeff Orbit Show. Also on video, Rumble, follow us there, and on YouTube, subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's done that.
This is the Jeff Orbit Show.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Diamond Auto Glass, where the difference is clear.com. All right, welcome back. Love to hear from you. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Send in your email comments. If you're listening to the podcast or watching YouTube or anything like that, put the comments right in there, and I'll share those as soon as possible. Rob Wilson's here with me. He's with Timberline Firearms and Training. I think Mark was on the show yesterday. He was out by you. I don't think you were there.
I missed him. I had to make a trip down to the valley yesterday.
I think you're muted over there. You got your cough button.
How about now?
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Mark said he went out and used your indoor shooting range. So
yeah, I missed him. I had to make a trip down to the valley, which reminded me just how badly I don't want to be in the valley this time of year.
Hot. Yeah.
I was only in Scottsdale for about an hour and a half, and that was about, I don't know, 89 minutes too long.
Yeah, right. Okay, we're going over last night's Arizona primary election results. One that did not surprise me was for Congressional District 2. Congressman Eli Crane, again, this is another one that I predicted he would win. He was also a candidate that I strongly endorsed and supported in the beginning. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who has stood up against the machine in Washington, D.C., and he has taken the arrows, man. He's a tough guy. He doesn't care, and he goes up against him. He even said at one point when Jack Smith, former Yavapai County Board of Supervisor, got in, after Eli Crane helped oust former Speaker of the House, Andrew McCarthy. Right. The money started pouring in different districts of kind of the vengeance tour.
Yeah.
Of people that he wanted to oust.
Yes.
Yep. So Eli Crane was one of them. And Eli Crane came on the show like 6 months ago, and he says, if I lose because of this, then so be it. And he almost had a little hint of, I might lose because they're going to put so much money against me. Right? I kind of felt it in his voice. There are things you can
control and things you can't. And
he was good with it.
Yeah.
He was good with it. He's also former Navy SEAL sniper, went to the site in Pennsylvania here.
He's accustomed to incoming.
Yeah, this guy.
He can take
this guy's tough. I didn't think he was going to destroy Jack Smith this much in this election, the numbers wise. Almost 80% for Eli Crane to Jack Smith 20. What a wipeout. 20% for Jack Smith.
Yeah.
Huge. So congratulations for a well-deserved, huge victory.
And what that tells us, I think pretty clearly, is that the job that he's doing in the House right now for us is what we want him to do.
Yeah.
We want him to help drain that swamp.
Yep.
He's a swamp drainer.
Yep.
He does not go along with the flow just because that's the way things are done. He instigates, he
Yeah, he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind rocking the boat.
Yep.
Doesn't mind rocking the boat
that's
at all.
good.
So that is good news. He will go on to win the general. I can't say that with 100% certainty, but 99.9%. It's a heavy Republican district, congressional. It's my district. Is it yours? No, Rob is outside.
I'm in 7.
Rob's in a Democrat district.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So now another one that I want you all to watch is Congressional District 6. This Juan Ciscomani, who's current congressman, first term, he did win by 60% to about 40% over Kathleen Wynne. I don't know Miss Wynne. I would imagine that she was maybe running to challenge his a little soft for me as far as his conservative track record.
Yeah.
He's in a district that's nearly 50-50 Democrat Republican. It's down like Tucson area and down there.
And a little soft then might be the right answer because you're supposed to be representing your constituency. And if you're in a constituency that's a 50-50 kind of a mix, then that's probably where you should be.
I guess you put it that way because I
right.
have been quite critical of Juan Ciscomani. I get kind of petty with, like, I get the email and he name drops like 10 times in one email, and it just gets me a little nauseous.
Yeah.
So I just have, it just irks me. But here's what I want you to watch. District 6, you have, I believe this was the one that she just barely lost to Juan Ciscomani last time, Kirsten Engel. I don't know if you remember that name. She is the only Democrat running. She got 100% of votes. She got 69,000 votes. This one is going to be a tight race. Right now we have 6 somewhat Republican representatives in Arizona to 3 Democrats, right? This could be a flip in the Tucson area, and we could be at, what would that put us at, 4 to 5?
As close as we are in the House and the Senate,
it's
no one wants to lose any seats right now.
Yeah,
so.
You'll see more money sprinkled into that.
For sure.
Into that district, trying to flip that and take it away from the Republicans. You want to hit on, which one you want to hit on? You pick one. I've been picking them all.
Wendy Rogers is a frequent participant in your show.
Yeah.
And
good friend of the show.
She represents District 7. Just
my district?
Your district? South,
not yours?
Flagstaff, South? Nope.
You ever think about moving? Oh, man.
I think it was a conspiracy theory when they redrew all these redistricts. I think they put me in a different district just so I could.
I think so.
Anyway,
there's like this little connector run to Rob's area.
This little peninsula that just reaches around my house. But she looks like she's going to prevail over David Cook. They both ran pretty aggressive campaigns.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Wendy's not known for being shy.
No, I've never heard that term. Like, Wendy Rogers is so shy. She's so quiet.
Yeah.
Can you speak up a little bit, Wendy?
We never really know what she's thinking.
Look, I like Senator Rogers. I mean, some
very
people
clear about what
some people criticize, again, a very strong woman.
Yep.
And I'm fine with that. I'm sure I'm going to get comments on some things I was saying earlier, but that was not my intent. It's just, hey, this is the world. We can live in the world you want to live in or live in the world we live in. And
right.
I try to bring out reality on this show. But when Senator Rogers, I mean, she is stuck by really conservative issues. There's obviously been a few votes where I'm like, I didn't really like that one, but that happens. But David Cook, he's current representative. He got districted into really the Flagstaff and very northern Arizona district. He was really kind of a globe Miami into parts of Phoenix.
And I think he term limited out of the House, right?
Yeah, so he had to either get out or run. So what did he do? Run. And it was a bloodfest when it comes to the ads and all that.
Between the two of them, yeah.
Here's the I endorsed Senator Wendy Rogers. She always takes the time to come on this show. If I have a question on the phone, she's talking to me, texting with her. I mean, she's always there with that in that regard. David Cook, I don't think people in northern Arizona really knew who he was. Right. He wasn't their representative because I've never seen him in Flagstaff. Nope. I've never really seen him in Verde Valley or the White Mountains. He was just kind of that southern, central, into Phoenix representative. It was the wrong district for him. And he had 2 years to kind of show that, hey, I'm going to be there all the time. The first time he came on this program was in election time to talk to people. So to me, it was clear, and she won. Looks like she's going to win by a good 10 points. Yeah. Her third term, and each race has been pretty rough.
It's always an adventure.
Yeah.
Watching her races.
So anyway, she looks like she'll clear out. The other one that I find interesting, this is for the state Senate, it's District 1, which is Yavapai County, largely like the Prescott area.
Right.
Was the race between Mark Finchem, who was a former member of the legislature. He also was the Secretary of State nominee for Arizona last time, and we had all the election integrity issues that he brought up, lawsuits. He moved to Prescott area shortly thereafter, and then he challenged longtime Prescott resident and family, Ken Bennett, who was the former president of the Senate way back. He was former Secretary of State. He was almost the shoo-in for governor until he wasn't. In 2014 against Ducey and many others that got into this. Then he 2 years ago he ran for Senate in LD1 again, got back in there. Barely. He actually ran against Steve Zipperman, who re-ran again but didn't do very well this time, and Ken Bennett barely got in there. Mark Finchem right now is standing at, you got those numbers? 20,000 votes to Bennett's 15,000 approximately, 47 to 34. So he got pretty wiped out. I mean, what do you think? Is 10 points is a wipeout? Anything more than 10.
10 or above, that's
total wipeout.
There's not any question.
It's a sad day. For
either your campaign or your platform sucked.
Exactly.
Because, and especially in this race, Ken Bennett's name recognition is huge. I mean, in comparison, probably to there's probably maybe a half a dozen people in the state that have name recognition on the level of Ken Bennett. Or certainly in that county.
Old school politics, kind of old school Republican, maybe too. But
so that's a bit of a surprise. That he didn't do better.
He tried to do the McCain type thing, in my opinion, in the legislature the past 2 years, especially this last session. He tried to be, I'm going to be the voice of reason, and we can't pass this thing because this one little thing in here that's going to be a legal issue. Whereas every other Republican lined up, I'm not saying you got to get in order and line up every time, but on very clear issues,
pick your battles.
He picked stupid battles to try to be the elder statesman, maybe.
I guess.
I don't know what he was doing, but it didn't work. It was a train wreck. People don't want that. Right? I don't want that. I want you to stand firm. We've gone the wet noodle route for conservatism for too long.
And look what it got us.
Look what it's gotten us. I mean, it's gotten us. We gave an inch and they took 55,000 miles, so stop. So he's out. And, we'll see. We'll see what if he pops in again, but that might be the end of his political career. All right, love to hear from you. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Let's talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. We're going to have to carry this over because we've got a lot more races to cover. Before we do that, though, I do want to mention what's going on in the Middle East because that's a big issue, just to change topics here. The assassination.
Today,
who was the guy that got assassinated in Iran?
Let me check.
It was Beirut. You were saying he was responsible for the Beirut attack back in '83.
Yeah, he was
41
one of
years.
The planners that conducted the attack on the Marine barracks in Beirut, killed 240 plus U.S. Marines, and has had a $5 million bounty on his head by the FBI ever since.
40 years?
For 40 years.
And then he raised that to about $50 million with inflation, but
now
they don't need to raise it all because he's gone. He's gone.
He went to Tehran in Iran, capital, to attend the inauguration of their new president.
Bad decision, I guess.
It was probably pretty easy to predict he might be there, and there were apparently some people waiting for him, and he's no longer with us live on this planet.
Missile, gun, explosion.
That I have not heard.
They haven't broken that down?
I haven't followed. I've been busy morning, but he's definitely no longer with us, and the supreme leader of Iran, Khomeini, is now vowing vengeance against Israel.
Are they going to do the same vengeance they did last time where they sent over all the drones and everything that all got shot down? Or do you think that was theater? Do you think they did that to act like they had a response so they could appease the domestic, the Iranians?
I think.
Or do you think they have a capability, or is their capability just totally overstated?
I think you are onto something there, Jeff, because that's not the first time that Iran has promised retaliation and done something that appears pretty dramatic. remember the air base in Iraq that they promised that they were going to destroy. And there were a couple of injured U.S. service members. There was a hangar or two that got damaged, but it was nothing. And that was, I think, in response to when we took out General, I forget his name.
I can't remember. Something like that.
Yeah.
As Trump did that.
Yeah. And, their response was basically not a response. Mm-hmm. Whatever they tried to do failed. And as you mentioned, they did that again here recently. It makes you wonder, is Iran really as much of a technological power as we have been giving them credit for? Because they don't seem to be having the successes. And they're the ones arming a lot of these terrorist organizations. I will say that in the Red Sea, some of the ballistic missiles that have been being launched are being provided by Iran. And that's interesting that technology is making its way down to terrorist organizations. Who would have thought a terrorist organization would be launching
like the Houthis
ballistic missiles against shipping in the Red Sea?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's happening. Yeah. So, okay.
And the question is why? And my opinion is the why is the policeman of the world, the unfortunate role that the United States has had to play for the last several decades, has been asleep at the wheel. Nope. Everyone knows right now there's no consequence if they do something and get caught. It's kind of, if you're a kid and you got you're taking cookies out of the candy jar or cookie jar and never get caught or never have any consequence.
Yeah.
So why would you stop?
Yeah. Weakness of Biden.
Yeah.
Weakness of I don't think this is happening under Trump.
The more it looks like President Trump is going to win, the more of this kind of behavior we're going to see, because I know there's a limited time they're going to be able to get away with it.
Yeah. If President Trump wins, and if you look at the corporate media now, and you go to the Drudge Report, which whatever happened to Drudge Report? It used to be such a good conservative site. And over the years, it's just garbage. They hate Trump.
Yeah.
He's already lost. Kamala Harris she's basically the shoe-in at this point. And the polling shows she's the shoe-in, even though they weighted it like 25% towards the Democrats. It's amazing.
They had to.
All right, let's do this. I want to hit on some more of these races, some mayor's races, county attorneys. There's a couple, Yavapai County, Coconino County I want to talk about. We haven't touched on the LD7 House race yet. And, the CD8 race, Congressional District 8, which has like 93 candidates. No, there's like 6 candidates there.
Yeah.
Big names. 2 of them were Trump endorsed, which was kind of weird.
How do you endorse 2 people in the same race?
What's going on with that one? We'll hit on it here in just a second. If you get a rock chip in your windshield, call Diamond Auto Glass. They'll be able to take care of that and get that fixed for you. If you want to get your windows tinted for your vehicle, they do that as well, but they also do your house. So inside your home, the inside of the windows, Diamond Auto Glass can tint those windows and come in, do a free in-home estimate for you. Give them a call right now. Learn about how you can get reduced glare, improved energy efficiency, increased privacy, UV rays.
Cut your energy bill.
Cut your electric
bill because you're not going to have to air condition as much with less heat coming in your house.
Yeah, and as we go to all 100% windmills someday, and your energy bill goes up like 5 times, you're going to want to try to figure out how to save money on your energy bills. Anyway, call Diamond Auto Glass right now. Get an estimate at 928-779-4140. That's 928-779-4140, or go to thedifferenceisclear.com. Back in just about a minute or two. If you're listening to the podcast, please give us a great review and also give us a comment in there. If you're not listening to the podcast, subscribe. Look up the Jeff Oravich Show. Also on video, Rumble, follow us there, and on YouTube, subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's done that.
This is the Jeff Oravich Show.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Eric Boatner, Allstate Insurance Agency.
This is the Jeff Oravich Show.
All right, welcome back. Rob Wilson's here with me. Rob's with Timberline Firearms and Training. Brought in a something from his shop today is plating.
Bullet resistant.
Bullet resistant, not bulletproof.
Yeah,
it's just like
with rifle rated plates in it.
It's just like silencers aren't silencers. It's suppressors.
Suppressors.
Is that the correct? Yeah, it never is silent.
It is not.
You'll still hear it. Do you have one of those at the shop out there where you can try?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Yep.
I need to do that.
Yep.
I want to hear how it sounds.
All right.
Can you, like, just on what was that movie? The Shooter or whatever, the one with Mark Wahlberg. Remember that one?
Yeah.
He puts the bottle on the end of it. Will that create a silencer? Are we allowed to talk about this?
I'm a little reluctant to talk too much about it.
Well, it was on a movie.
I will tell you that suppressors
Yes.
are a federally regulated device.
Yeah. I'm not saying for you to do that. I'm just saying I saw it in a movie.
If you put something on your firearm
You're in
that
trouble.
reduces the sound signature of it, and it is not a federally licensed device, you're committing a felony.
I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying I saw it on a movie, and it was very quiet.
It wouldn't be very effective.
Okay. All right.
And it would only work from one shot. So.
Rob's pulling me back in here. I'd love to hear from you. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Let's talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. We've talked about the Kari Lake race. Kari Lake with the victory over Mark Lamb for the Republican nomination. She's sailing ahead. We'll get her back on the program soon. She was on just yesterday. 55% of the vote. She's going up against Rubin Gallego. Rubin Gallego's positioned himself as a centrist. We covered all that already. And it's going to be a tough, I don't want anyone to sugarcoat this stuff.
No.
It's going to be a tough race.
And speaking of the vote, for all the listeners out there that I'm going to do something Jeff probably would never do, is I'm going to shame you. If you did not go and vote yesterday, he's getting ready on he's going to kill me button.
I got a bleep button here.
All you that did not vote, reconsider your options here. You need to be a responsible citizen and be voting in these elections. It's really, really important.
Only if you're an informed voter. I don't.
Yes.
I don't care about turnout really. I know that sounds bad.
Oh no, it doesn't. I agree completely.
I don't want like idiots to vote.
No,
you know what I'm going to say.
But
an idiot.
Idiots don't listen to your show.
No.
Everyone
I know
listens
that.
to your show is a normal, logical, reasonable person.
That's fine. And I mean idiots as far as being, you may be the most intelligent person in the world, but you're an idiot as far as the knowledge you have about a particular candidate or issue.
Lack of knowledge.
Yeah,
right.
Lack of knowledge. I don't want you to vote. I mean, you're voting on serious stuff. If you're going to do it based off, this one's got a D and this one's got an R, and I heard this 30-second spot, you're an idiot. You shouldn't be voting on these people.
Right.
You need to educate yourself more because half these politicians are full of crap.
Yep.
And if you listen to the 30-second ad, they're full of crap, and probably much more than half if we're being honest here. And the initiatives are complex, complicated, very long, legal, constitutionally binding things that people are voting on. This is where I get frustrated. I like the initiative process in Arizona, but I also hate it because you're asking people to vote on like 11 initiatives in this state.
Yep.
That some of them are many pages long and have all kinds of little caveats and loopholes and this and that not even your politicians that you elect to supposedly represent you really actually read or understand.
Yeah.
And you're being asked to vote on that. It's a serious thing. So if you're not going to take it seriously and you're not going to read it, leave it blank on that one.
Sure.
Or don't vote. Right. I mean, this is a serious. These people that go out and say, "What do we got? 26% voter turnout yesterday." Right?
Yeah, 1 in 4.
1 million ballots cast out of 4.1 million registered voters.
1 in 4.
I'm fine with that because these are probably the more informed voters in the primary.
And I can tell you, there are 2 candidates that were running for the District 6 Republican state representative seat, Rich King and Lloyd Johnson. They hope everybody went out and voted because coincidentally right now their race is tied dead even. They both have 5,759 votes.
That's weird. That's weird.
Exactly equal.
Now, in fairness, to advance.
Yeah. 1 vote could make the difference in that result.
Well, but they both advance in that one.
Yes.
Because they're both running for the House and there's 2 seats. But had they been running like Senate or something like that, but I guess they ran a tight campaign because everybody's like, just fill in those 2.
50-50.
Yeah. And everybody went with the Republican ticket on that one.
Yeah.
That's a tough district. Is that your district?
Yeah. No, I'm 7.
You're 7? Okay. I thought you were 6. Okay. So 6 is a heavy Democrat district. Yeah. And I mean, they're going to have a tough race. I appreciate them running, to give people that choice. Okay, let's get into LD7, this just brutal House race and the results there. and they may surprise some of you. So we'll do that in just a second. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Hey, if I was selling a home right now in the Flagstaff area, you have all heard Kelly Broaddus on this program many, many times. Kelly Broaddus with Broaddus Properties Group, brokered by EXP. Kelly's been in this for a really long time. She's been doing real estate. She's seen the ups, the downs, the crashes, the bubbles, and all points in between. She knows how to market homes. The agent that just sticks it on MLS, you want to stay away from that. I was a realtor. I did this for a long time. I'm still in real estate. I would consider, I'm not an expert on many things, Rob, but real estate would be one of them.
Yep.
And I still use somebody else. I represented myself for a while ago, and I probably shouldn't have. You should have that agent. And
you need the person with the current recent knowledge.
Yeah,
that
that's Kelly.
Has the latest techniques and tricks to be able to properly market and sell your house.
And that's Kelly Broaddus. So give her a call. She's going to bring the passion and the knowledge to make sure your home gets sold for top dollar. 888-446-5602. That's Kelly Broaddus at 888-446-5602, whether you're buying or selling. And check out the valuation on your home. You may be surprised. Go to northernarizonafinehomes.com. There's a valuation tab. Click on that. northernarizonafinehomes.com. All right, Rob. LD7.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get to this here. This was the race between, I got expanded here because there's so many.
Yeah.
Barbie Engel, Andrew Costanzo, John Fillmore, who was a former state representative, Steve Slayton, who owns the Trumped store in Sholo, White Mountain somewhere, current Representative David Marshall, and former state representative and former congressional candidate. He ran for Congress in 22 in the primary. He did not win that primary. Eli Crane won the primary.
Right.
And so Walt was out of the legislature at the same time, and he decided to get back in and run for that seat. Were you surprised, first of all, at how brutal this got? And take it from there, and then let's get to the outcome.
I was. I've never been a fan of the negative campaigning. To me, that tells me right away there's a problem with your candidacy, your platform, your positions. If you've got to attack the other person, you should be running on your own merits, not trying to, attack the other person. Yeah. And this one got really ugly. It got really ugly. And there was a lot of money put into being really, really ugly. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, in this case, it didn't work. The majority of the ugliness, I think, was unleashed on Walt Blackman, and he ended up coming out on top. So
he did. He got that actually surprised me because of the negativity that was run on this. Mm-hmm. And again, this is another one at too advanced.
Yeah,
but it hardly matters because this is a heavy Republican district. So Walt Blackman
they're going to move on.
Yeah, Walt Blackman came in first with 14,000 votes. David and 27% of the vote. David Marshall, Representative Marshall, came in 12,000 votes, about 25% of the vote. The next one down, the third place position, I actually thought Marshall was going to come out on top on this one. I had endorsed Marshall and Blackman. Mm-hmm. I thought Marshall would be number one because he's the incumbent. He's sitting in there, and Blackman had gotten hit so hard on the negative ads. I thought it was going to be a fight for that second and third position. But in third position was Steve Slayton, who came in 14% of the vote, like 10 points behind Marshall, 13 points behind Blackman. And then the fourth place is John Fillmore at 13%. So a wipeout, really. And the negative ads didn't work in this scenario.
And let's, just because I want to be the half full kind of guy, let's say that's because we had informed voters. We had people who actually did the research. We had people who looked at what was really going on, didn't pay attention to the negative ads, and elected the people that are going to do the best work for them.
Yeah. Well, check this out. Okay. In Blackman's case, who I've been working with for years, I started hearing the ads and I'm like, oh man, what is going on here? Yeah. Walt Blackman did this. He bounced checks in 2002. He's the most liberal, progressive, and I'm like, wait a second. I know this guy. There's been a few votes that he did in the legislature and the budget. They all did. All the Republicans were doing this. They bloated the budget.
Yeah,
just like the Democrats would have. So there's a strike there. But then I was like, well, I worked with him on a lot of stuff, ESAs and things like that. Empowerment scholarship accounts. So it got to a point about a month back where I said, well, I'm voting for Walt. I'm voting for David Marshall. This all sounds like a load of crap to me, right? But then it kept going. So I started getting emails from listeners, right? And they're saying, wow, I think I want my ballot back. I keep hearing these ads. I keep hearing these accusations. Why are you endorsing? Yeah. Why are you endorsing Walt Blackman? I'm like, because this sounds like a load of crap. I mean, there's like 6 items here. And so several listeners were like, hey, get him back on. He was on like a week before. So like a week or two ago, I had him back on and I said, I ran to, I said, Walt, we're going to hit all these. Yeah. And you're going to have to defend each one of these. Like, that's fine. I'm coming on. Let's do it tomorrow. How about today? And I was like, no, we'll do it tomorrow, And he came right on and he went through all of them. He's like, well, you had a bounce check. Somebody stole my account or whatever. And it got dismissed in 2002. I'm off the top of my head. I was stationed in Kosovo. Yeah. At the time. He's like, what did I do? Run back? He was
serving his country overseas and somebody did something in his name. It was, and he got it cleared up. Yeah. But the record still exists.
It was a lot of,
that's how bad the negative stuff got.
A lot of bogus stuff.
And somebody that stands up for themselves like that and says, let me on your show. I will tell you exactly what happened. That's somebody that we want representing us. That's somebody with integrity.
Now, the third place finisher, Steve Slayton.
There were some questions.
There's questions on the timing of the service. I don't know. He didn't come back. We invited him to come back on. I appreciate his service. He definitely served in Vietnam, but there was questions on it. And people like Blackman pointed it out. And Blackman was a tank commander in, was it Iraq, I believe?
Yep. As a veteran myself, I know what a DD-214 is. It's the piece of paper you get saying you were honorably discharged from the military. Yeah. And it tells everything that you did while you were in the military, all the awards you've been given. So there's no stolen valor, that kind of stuff. All the schools you've attended, all the stations or duty stations you've been assigned to. A release of that DD-214 would have cleared all those questions up.
And the dates, they give the dates, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah.
It's like your bio from your military
it's
service.
Your official bio, from the military. That's a great.
So it was. I think it was an easy thing to clean up. It didn't, and I think the voters, despite him having quite a bit of money and endorsements and things
outside,
it didn't work out. And I don't think Blackman or Marshall had a ton of money, not like what was happening. And so I think this one I'm happy with. I'm happy it worked out because it didn't work. In this case,
we should assign ourselves some homework and go back now and look at the campaign finance reports and compare them to the results of this primary election and see just how big of an impact money had on the results.
Yeah, no, that'd be a good idea. And here's what I'll do. Representative Marshall is already committed to, hey, when the session starts, I'll make sure I get in there, at least every month or so to give updates. I want to hear that. I'm happy that he's doing that. I don't really have to ask Walt that question because he's done it. Yeah. I've gotten him on the show plenty of times. So I think this is a good thing for the folks in LD7. And I think in Blackman and Marshall, I think we've got some good representation. Yeah. If they prove different, I'll let you know, man. I don't mind turning on anyone. If they look, I endorsed Bennett in 2014 for governor. Yeah. When Ducey was running. And all these people were jumping behind him. I was an early endorser of, at that time it was Brnovich actually, who was challenging Horn. Right. And I jumped on with Bennett. And I was clear a month ago. I said, there's no way I can support Bennett again. So it's not loyalty to that individual. It's loyalty to what they're doing and how they're hopefully preserving the Constitution, protecting our rights, and doing sensible things in office.
Representing us.
Yeah, hopefully representing us. That's the goal, right? All right, love to hear from you. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. That's talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. When you go out to Rob's place, before you get there, stop by American Trailer Company, Rob's neighbors.
Just about next door, yep.
Good folks.
Really good folks, yeah. They're relatively new neighbors. They've been there for about 3 years now. I've met them when they first got there. Family-owned husband-wife team. They're working really hard. Huge supply of trailers. So just really good people.
Veteran-owned company as well. Outside the city, we never mentioned this for your shop either. No city sales tax.
That's right.
That's something we should add to that.
If you don't agree with what the city of Flagstaff is doing with their money, then you need to come spend it somewhere outside the city.
Sustainability department. How much is that thing sucking up? Oh man. So American Trailer Company, big yard of inventory there of flatbed trailers, utility dump, acres and acres. I bought my dump trailer from there. Mention a Jeff Orvich show. 5% off. Great deal there. Or if you're outside the area, go to AmericanTrailerAZ.com. AmericanTrailerAZ.com. Check out their inventory. You can just order it right there.
Yep.
and then they'll ship it to you.
Yeah, they can
Or maybe
deliver
not ship it, deliver it. I don't
Yep.
think they're going to call up like UPS or something and say, hey, we got a package for you. But they'll deliver it. It's like a 150-mile radius, which I believe would cover into Prescott and definitely Verde Valley and all that. So go check it out right now, AmericanTrailerAZ.com. That's AmericanTrailerAZ.com. Back in a minute.
This is the Jeff Oravits Show. This is the Jeff Oravits Show.
All right, here with Rob Wilson from Timberline Firearms and Training. Going over these races. Now we're into general election season, and that all starts. There's a rally down in Phoenix, I think, happening maybe right now or coming up. I think Vance is there. Senator J.D. Vance is at 6 p.m. We do have a request to get somebody on tomorrow. They're doing a border tour, so I'll maybe get somebody from the Vance campaign. I've put in a request to get him on. I'm like, well, it's fine. I mean, we don't mind hearing from your surrogates, but we'd like to hear from the VP pick.
The person himself.
They've got a battle going on, so I'll let you know. I'll try.
He's got such an amazing life story. It would be really fun to be able to.
It's just we'll keep pushing. You know, we get a lot of the big names, so maybe this time we'll get the VP. Maybe we'll get the presidential pick. It'd be nice to get Trump. I'm going to push. I pushed last time. We'll try once again. But we're going over the election results from last night. What haven't we hit? Why don't you hit on the attorneys' races? The county attorney. So you had Coconino County Attorney. The current guy is retiring or not rerunning. Who's
William
that?
Ring.
Bill Ring
is retiring. He's been there in that office for 2 terms now.
So you got 2 Democrats duking it out.
Right. It was
not physically.
And you had both of them.
Were they duking it out?
Well, I hope not.
Everybody's so sensitive.
Full time finding that particular page, but
yeah, it's gone.
County
By the way, Yavapai County.
Got it. County attorney.
Hang on. Yavapai County. You need to make your election page a little easier. I thought I was in 1993, and you sent me a PDF. This thing is stupid. And it's like 36 pages long. It's impossible.
Every county election supervisor ought to be told that it's required by law to have a link on their very front page.
I know. During
election season to see results. It shouldn't be hard to find them. But
I go to Yavapai County Elections Department and Coconino, quite frankly. I bet you every single one of them. And I'm looking for election results because they say the link's going to be there. And you go there earlier in the day and it's not populated yet, so you don't know if it's actually legit.
Right.
It should be on every county election page, not just their front page, but every single one you go to. Big up top in neon, election results.
A header. At the top of
this is
page.
not rocket science here. And Yavapai County, this 30-page monster here that you got to sort through. Do it like the state does it. Even Coconino County, they have it all organized. And Coconino County's gotten bashed pretty hard. The elections department.
Yep.
At least I can figure out how to use their website, man.
Yep.
Okay.
And the Coconino County attorney's race, you had both Ammon Barker and Gary Perlmutter on your show.
I did.
Interviewed them both about their views in that role. And it appears that Ammon Barker is going to be the winner there. He's got 57% to Gary's 42% of the vote. And since there's no one running in opposition to them as a Republican, that means this election's over.
Yeah. Okay. So Ammon Barker will be on the general election, but it's done.
Yeah.
Unless something weird happens.
Some huge write-in campaign.
Aliens come down and Ammon, goes up to the mothership and then they have to pick someone else. I don't think that's going to happen. So he seemed all right. It's hard to tell till these people get in and like cases get in front of them. Yeah. And they got to make that tough decision, plea deals and
how are we going to actually,
how long are we sentencing this person and that person? You and I talked about that recently. Yavapai County county attorney. Let me scroll through. Hang on, it'll take me. I have to go through 43 pages.
Everyone else
here.
Has to suffer for this if you are, right?
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Yavapai. You got to fix this. This is
I hope
dialogue.
there isn't another link on their page that actually works.
There might be. Well, make it clear then. This is the link I found. It said election results.
You're a pretty internet savvy guy. You should be able to find this stuff.
This shouldn't be this complicated. I'm scrolling through page after page. This is nuts. By the way, Quan Nguyen did win in a big way. for LD1 House Representative.
Okay, yeah.
I think he's a really good guy, and his story is awesome. His family escaped Vietnam and escaped communism, and he's a staunch anti-communist guy. And what we need in this country is people who come over, immigrants who come over, and they're first generation or second generation, and they're like, we fled this. We got out of this crap, and they become some of the strongest defenders of the Constitution and our way of life and free market capitalism, most of them. And then there's some that come over and they want free stuff, and or they come over from Central Europe and bring over socialist policies.
Folks that tend to come over legally,
yes,
for the most part, come here, and they're coming here because they have more respect for the rights and freedoms that we have than we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
They appreciate and respect those even more than we as citizens. We take them for granted. And that's kind of unfortunate, because when you take them for granted is when they can be taken away.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm still scrolling.
Are you there yet?
No.
All right. I'm going to talk about Board of Supervisors, District 3.
Yeah, go ahead. I found it. No, I'm here. County Attorney for Yavapai County. Doesn't do District 3. David Stringer had rerun again, and he had to resign from the legislature years back, and he had all kinds of issues and stuff. He ran again for County Attorney, but he did not do well. He got 30% of the vote to about 70% for Dennis McGrain. And that's another one. They're exact opposite of Coconino County, purely Republican.
Right.
And
both of them.
Yeah. Is there even they didn't, there wasn't even a Democrat that ran.
Yeah.
It's just like Coconino County. So no hope to do it. Okay. County
Board of Supervisors.
District
3.
Okay.
Which, so our current county board of supervisors has 5 Democratic representatives on it, and that's all. Mm-hmm. There are no Republican representatives. District 3, Tammy Ontiveros, a Republican, was running against Sean Gallagher, and she won by a pretty significant margin, 63% of the vote. So I serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission with her. She's the chairman of that commission.
She's still on there?
Yeah, and she's doing an excellent job in that role, so I'm anxious to see her move up into the county board of supervisors level and bring some of that expertise she's developed over the years to a much needed forum.
I've heard good things. You're saying good things about her. I've heard good things from some other folks about her too. I have not met her that I can recall. I'd like to get her on the program as we get closer to the general here. Coconino County Board of Supervisors, 5, as Rob said, members.
Yep.
And it's been pretty much almost all Democrats, with the exception of we did have
Jim
Parks on for 4 years. And he was, he's a pretty strong Republican, conservative guy, so I appreciated that. But that's been a rarity. That's been an exception to the rule. It's been unusual, though, because District 3, was that Matt Ryan's?
Yeah.
District 3 was represented by Democrat Matt Ryan, who served for 487 years in that district.
I've been 480.
Yeah, something like that. It was
time.
like 22, 24, 25 years or so that Matt Ryan was on there. He was a hard worker because he'd go out and knock on every door, so people really got to know him. Was he overly liberal and Democrat? I don't know. It was okay, in my opinion. He served. I don't like people serving that long personally. There should be like a 2-term limit on county board, maybe 3 at the most.
If it's a 4-year term, 2, 3 at the most.
At the most.
At the most, yeah. The 2-year term jobs, 6, 8 years maybe, so 4 terms, okay.
Yeah. Not a career. This should not be a career.
Absolutely not.
So, go ahead. They should win this. Tammy should be able to win this because my point being is this is a Republican-leaning district in Coconino County
that had been electing a Democrat for a long, long time,
which is rare. Now you have no incumbent. Or do you have an incumbent?
No.
Well, who's this Adam Hess? He was appointed.
Yes.
He's got some whiff of incumbency, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't know him. I don't know if you know him.
I don't. I haven't.
No idea. All I know is it would sure be nice to have maybe some conservative representation on the board.
At least one voice.
A board that, I have to vote for, Rob has to vote for, many of you have to, that we pay taxes to, that they've districted in many ways in a way that ensures that it'll remain so.
Yes.
In my opinion. So I wish Tammy Ontiveros, I congratulate her for her victory. Sean Gallagher, good job running. If there was Republicans in this. I think we got a shot. You're saying there's a chance.
Yes.
So that's good news. All right. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Love to hear from you. Talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Let's see here. Sportsman's Bar and Grill. Good time to head on over there. Sportsman's has been voted best sports bar in Flagstaff.
No surprise there.
Yeah, a long time. I don't know if it was as long as some people serve in office, but pretty long. It's
fortunately there's not term limits for that.
Yeah, it's if you're listening right now, if you're listening back to podcast, who knows what day it is, but Wing Wednesday happens every Wednesday. Half price wings. Surprise. It's Wing Wednesday. Half price wings. Tomorrow's sliders. They've got a great deal on sliders, but here's the deal. Sportsman's Bar and Grill voted best sports bar, but also voted best happy hour in Flagstaff. So you go there from 2 to 5, great deals on food.
That means you get great deals, great drinks, they must have great service because you wouldn't be voted the best otherwise. So.
It's one of those places where they've got the servers that no matter how busy it is, they get you in there and they're running around and they're hard workers.
It's amazing seeing the really efficient servers, how much they can do when they're really
bouncing drinks and food, and
then you see the other ones that one table is
oh my god, there's so many tables, I need a break. Not there. So anyway. Great drink specials, great happy hour there at Sportsman's Bar and Grill. Head on over there, enjoy it. It's just north of downtown Flagstaff, and they've got plenty of parking there right in the Bashas Shopping Center. All right, hang tight, back in just a minute. Hey, if you're listening to the podcast, please give us a great review and also give us a comment in there. If you're not listening to the podcast, subscribe. Look up the Jeff Orbit Show. Also on video, Rumble, follow us there, and on YouTube, subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's done that.
This is the Jeff Orbit Show.
Yesterday, I told you about the uranium mine, Pinion Mine, up towards the Grand Canyon, north of Williams.
Yes, it's not in the Grand Canyon.
Not in the Grand Canyon. They always like to say,
oh my God, we're contaminating.
It's by the Grand Canyon. It's like right there. It's in the middle of the Grand Canyon. They're driving trucks down there right now as we speak. I had the guys on. It was a very listened to interview that I did with the.
It was a really good interview.
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
It released it revealed a lot of information that is being covered up, I think, by the folks that are opposing this.
Yeah.
The folks that are opposing that mine don't understand how important uranium is to this country and what a resource it can be. They don't understand we have to be able to have some of that. And they don't understand that we're not mining uranium the way that we did 60 years ago. It's completely different. It's completely controlled. It's done in a safe. We know a lot more about it now than we did then, and we're not going to make those same mistakes. So trying to say, because you screwed up 60, 70 years ago during World War II, you can never do that again. It's just ridiculous.
Well, Rob, you served in the Navy and you served on subs.
Yep.
And you served, I think you slept next. Did you say you slept next to a reactor? So you're like right there, basically.
The reactor that powered our submarine was filled with uranium, and that reactor was good for 20 plus years of powering our submarine. I slept about 100 feet away from it with my feet against a missile tube that had a nuclear missile in it with a number of nuclear warheads on top.
Rob turned out just fine.
Yeah, look what happened to me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The whole uranium ore concerns that everybody, they're going to be taking uranium ore through downtown Flagstaff.
Yeah.
You can hold uranium ore in your hand and it's not going to hurt you. There isn't, it's not refined. It hasn't been, and uranium emits alpha particles, and alpha particles can't even penetrate your skin. A piece of paper will stop an alpha particle.
Okay.
So chill out.
Yeah, it's just a big scary.
It is.
I saw a movie on Chernobyl or Fukushima or 3 Mile Island or something. Yeah. But hey, if you all, especially the rabid kind of eco-cultists out there, who I think just want us to live in caves, quite honestly, but the windmills aren't going to do it.
Nope.
It's not going to happen. And when we were talking about the Nantucket thing where the windmill broke apart out there and it's
contaminated the entire beach, and nobody can swim in the ocean now, and the marine life is eating fiberglass shards.
This is, I'm not saying there isn't a place for that sometimes, maybe, but probably not. You want green. You want green.
You're sure you're not saying?
I don't like windmills. I think windmills are good on the ranch and in certain situations, but I saw one blocking traffic on 89 here. They're talking about these dump trucks coming through and causing a problem from the uranium mine filled with uranium ore, not refined uranium.
Right.
I mean, this is, and the guy from the mine explained it as, the trucks could dump over them. You scoop it up with your hand situation.
Yes,
I think he
absolutely
actually said that. And then yesterday I got stopped. They were blocking traffic because they were trying to haul through Flagstaff coming up 89, opposite the route that they're taking uranium ore, right? One blade of a windmill.
That's like 250 feet long or something.
Yeah. And they had to turn onto the overpass, sharp left, right? And then take a sharp right onto the freeway with this one blade. And I'm like, how is this efficient? How is this efficient at all? This massive manufactured product.
Yeah, and there's a truck pulling the windmill or blade, and then there's 3 trucks in front of them and 3 trucks behind them and 6 police cars. And
you're right on.
Yeah,
it was this. I think there was a power cord hooked up to the truck. Actually, they had windmills on the back, so it was like that. No, it's a big diesel truck.
Yep.
And you're dead on. There was a pilot truck in front. Behind, there was police escorts.
Yep.
And like, how much did this one blade cost in environmental carnage, if that's what you actually believe?
Yeah, how much carbon do we create just moving this blade?
So that happened yesterday. And at the same time, yesterday, Tuesday, July 30th, was the first day that they were actually supposed to transport in big covered dump trucks, I guess, uranium ore through Williams, I-40,
and then up 89.
Through Flag up 89 and up through Tuba City and up to their plant in Colorado, I believe it is.
Utah, I think.
Utah, wherever they were. They were heading up there somewhere, right? I had read, and I don't know what happened, I'll have to do some digging, that the Navajo Nation was going to stop the dump trucks and test their authority, if they have the authority to stop traffic coming through the Navajo Nation. I don't know if they do or don't. I mean,
I suspect they do not.
Yeah,
and here's
interstate.
the reason why. One of the things we teach in our concealed carry class is that State Route 89. So oftentimes question comes, can I carry concealed on the nation?
Yeah,
on any of the 27 independent nations
recognized
in the United States or
nation,
in Arizona. Anyway, Highway 89 is a state route. That means the space between the fences is controlled by the state of Arizona. So the state of Arizona laws apply while you're on Highway 89. If you pull off and you want to get a drink and you're carrying concealed, then you're subject to the laws of that nation. But while you're on Highway 89, you're not. And for that reason, I don't believe the Navajo Nation could legally stop them.
Either. They're going to try. I'll have to follow up. I don't know if they tried because they were supposed to start transport yesterday. Maybe that's why when COVID hit, we went through there, and remember, Navajo Nation was locked down. It was shut. It was bad.
Well, yeah, their fatality rate was like twice anywhere else.
I get that, but we drove through, right? Yeah. And we were allowed to drive through, even though it made it look like you weren't. But as soon as we tried to stop for gas, in I think it was Kayenta. Nobody pumping the gas for us. We're just going up to the machine to pump the gas, so there was no risk.
Outdoors and
they were closed.
Yep.
And I was like, how many people ran out of gas in the middle of the Navajo Nation? And we basically went in on fumes into wherever that is on the other side after you go through Monument Valley and all that. Yeah. I can't remember. So to back what you're saying, you get off the road and you are under their authority, their rules, their laws. But they got a freeway, they got a road running through that. That's all our tax dollars put in there.
Sure is.
To have that road system go through.
Yep.
I guess do your own roads.
They do,
right?
I mean, there are N roads on the Navajo Nation,
and
those are roads that are maintained by the nation. So
okay, anyway. So that's an interesting one. We'll see what happens with that. You had another one.
I was listening as I was driving down to Phoenix yesterday. The Senate committee hearing on the assassination attempt on President Trump.
Yeah,
and there were a few senators that did a pretty good job asking questions of the director of the FBI and the acting director of the Secret Service. But none of them actually got to the real points. They would get close and then somehow run out of time, shut down, whatever. And the points that I think they were missing is that they would ask questions like, okay, so who was approving this security plan at the site there?
Okay.
And the Secret Service director would say something like, well, it's a committee kind of thing. There's multiple people. It's like, no, it's not. There was a senior person in that room. There was somebody that had the final authority to say, yes, we're good to go, and signed something. And that's the person Congress is trying to identify. And nobody would ask him that specific thing. They would let him dance and dodge around it. And the other thing that really annoyed me is this the temporary director was not temporary.
The new guy.
The
he's,
new guy.
He's like the
acting,
interim or whatever. Acting
director of the Secret Service.
Oh, he was kind of a jerk.
He got in a shouting match with one of the senators.
Yeah.
It was interesting listening and discouraging, because part of that shouting match is how many of your agents have you put on like unpaid leave or on leave or at least taken off of the protective details as a result of these failures? Because you would think that probably everybody that was at that site that day shouldn't be doing protective details until we get this sorted out. Because clearly there was huge failures. 0 people have been taken off the details.
Oh, man.
Every one of them is still out there right now on a protective detail, protecting a high priority target.
So even the girl that had trouble with the holstering.
Yeah.
I mean, and that would be my question if it was up there. Have you done follow-up training? Because at Timberline, you have a whole class on holstering.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a big part of having a handgun.
It's a fundamental skill.
Yeah, and it's where accidents happen all the time.
Exactly.
As you talked about on this program many times. So nobody put on leave or anything. Did you see the new video? There was a video that looks like it was shot like above Trump from behind him right when he gets up there, and you can clearly see the guy scooting up
across the roof,
the very steep roof.
Yeah. The 1 in 12 roof.
The roof that you'd have problem rolling a ball off of. That the former director, Cheadle, said, "Oh, it's just dangerous. It's just a dangerous roof," you know? And yet again, nobody put on administrative leave, even like, or just not just put on protective detail anymore.
Exactly. Not necessarily leave, but bring him back to the office.
Yeah, just
give him a desk job.
Well, maybe it's just me and Hollywood and watching movies, but that always seemed to be the thing when you got involved in anything that was questionable as a police officer in a movie. Maybe this isn't true. It's like, you're on the desk until we figure this out, Bob or Rob or whoever. You know, you're going to sit there.
Think about it. If a Flagstaff police officer is involved in an officer-involved shooting, they're taken off duty until the investigation is complete.
But not the Secret Service.
But the Secret Service, charged with protecting the most important people to our governmental operations are said, you guys screwed up royally, but just continue doing what you're doing. And we're going to investigate for the next 60, 90 days, however long it might be.
Sadly, I don't think we'll ever know. I think this will be like, we'll be talking about this in the future.
Well, and I think what happens
here
in bureaucracies like the Secret Service is, unfortunately, what the assistant director, or the acting director yesterday, I don't know why I have such that word. The acting director yesterday is probably pretty much right. What they do is, rather than have a senior person that has ultimate sign-off authority, they do everything by committee, because then there's nobody responsible. They design it that way.
Yeah, that should not be the case.
No.
We need to go back to the old nameplate, the buck stops here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And do that. It's crazy. All right, let's do this final break here. And when we come back, I want to hit on just a couple more of the races. Let's finish that up because I think these pretty much mostly decided. There's maybe a couple that are still outstanding. So hang tight for that. Back in just a minute. Email address, always love hearing from you. talkwithjeff@icloud.com. If you're listening to the podcast, please give us a great review and also give us a comment in there. If you're not listening to the podcast, subscribe. Look up the Jeff Orvich Show. Also on video, Rumble, follow us there, and on YouTube, subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's done that.
This is the Jeff Orvich Show.
All right, finishing up here, Rob Wilson's here with me. Just real quick, it looks like Mayor Dent is going to retain that position in Williams in that race.
Yep.
Against John Moore. Both good guys. Dent's in there now, though, and people decided to keep running with that.
Incumbents have an advantage.
Yeah, and then D. Jenkins in Camp Verde Looks like she's retaining that position. I'm surprised in Cottonwood, I can't remember because she didn't come on the program, but it seems like someone who's maybe a little more left won. But if she comes on, maybe we'll know. But
yeah,
it looks like she's going to be mayor. And then there was one more. Oh, it looks like Sedona Mayor Jack Jablow, who is the current mayor, is going to retain that position despite the homeless park encampment controversy, which will be on the ballot in November. You got kicked off Facebook, Rob?
I did. You mentioned your podcast and all that. We communicate with a lot of our customers on a Facebook page.
Yeah.
We do live video broadcasts of some of their trainings, those kinds of things, because we believe that Timberline Firearms, yes, we're in it for a business, but we're actually providing a service to our community, providing some place people can come and learn and train and be proficient and safe. Facebook has decided that we have violated their standards of conduct.
Because you exist?
Apparently, because there is no one at Facebook to talk to, but they have unpublished our page. So if you were going to try to find us on Timberline Firearms on Facebook right now, it would come up a big blank. And it's frustrating as heck as a small business owner, because we put, hundreds or thousands of hours over the last 8 years into maintaining a Facebook presence that was helpful to our local community.
Yeah.
And at the same time, by the way, drawing customers into Facebook's platform so they could advertise to them. So we're actually creating the value that they're benefiting from. And they have unpublished our page because they said that we have violated some community standards.
Like repeated? Because, don't they usually give you like warnings and stuff before they dump you?
No, well, they have blocked a couple of posts in the past, and every time they have, we've appealed that because they blocked it because, they depicted firearms. Except their community standards say that a licensed federal firearms dealer who has a brick and mortar store can depict firearms. So when they would unpost a post, we would appeal that and they would repost it. But it looks like maybe that initial hit added up enough that they've now just unpublished our whole page.
Strike.
Yeah,
and
even though they were
all appealed and overcome,
yeah,
you're gone. You're not allowed to be on Facebook anymore because you have firearms. Period.
Yeah.
Even though and it shouldn't even matter. There shouldn't even be an even though.
Yeah.
If I as an American citizen protected by the Second Amendment, I should be able to display firearms if I want. I should be able to have a show on Facebook if I want that says,
"When you think,
hey, our family went out shooting this weekend. Here's some video of us hitting some targets, or we went out hunting." They could take it on hunting videos, I guess, too. If you depict that you got a rifle and here's the rifle I got it with. So what do you do? Do you even go after it? Do you just go after a different medium?
We dug deep and we finally found an email address that because otherwise you're restricted to just their forms and their little, fill out the blank form here and not get any response. Hopefully it's going to a person. We've appealed it. We'll wait and see what happens. But I can tell you that I'm not a big fan of Facebook. The fact that there's over 150 million firearms owners in the United States. We're not evil people, and the fact that Facebook is choosing to treat us this way suggests to me that they believe we are.
Yeah, that's why I haven't gone on there in years.
I don't blame you.
It's just not worth it. I do Twitter is the only one that's even infrequent.
Yeah.
I think social media is a disease of the country and society at this point.
It is.
It's just my opinion, though. Hey, thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. I need to get out to Timberline here real soon, and hope you all have a great, safe night. It's been fun, and we'll see if any of these election results change. But I think they're pretty solid. And be back here tomorrow. Take care. See you soon. The information provided on the Jeff Orvich Show does not constitute legal, medical, financial, or tax advice. All information is the opinions of the host and guests. You should always seek the advice of a professional regarding any of these complex issues to make sure all circumstances of your situation are properly considered. Hey, if you're listening to the podcast, please give us a great review and also give us a comment in there. If you're not listening to the podcast, subscribe. Look up the Jeff Orvich Show. Also on video, Rumble, follow us there, and on YouTube, subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's done that.
This is the Jeff Orvich Show.